Hallo Leute, welcome back to my channel Deutsch Flicks, where we turn
Oh Mann, hey, ich verstehe das nicht.
into.
Alles klar, kein Problem. Und
Now, in one of the previous episodes, we talked about nominative and accusative case, also Nominativ und Accusativ. Now, today we are moving forward with Dative, also called dative case. Now, this case answers the question to whom or for whom. In order to understand dative, let's take a look at one English example. I give the man a book. Now we'll do the postmortem of this sentence to understand nominative, accusative and dative here. Now for nominative, I know nominative is the subject. So what is the subject here? I is the subject. That is the doer of the sentence. So nominative is equal to subject. Now what is the direct object here? So direct object means something that directly receives the action. You can neglect the man for now and this will be the direct object. I give a book. A book is the direct object and direct object is, in which case it is in accusative case. Now what is the man here? Now you can answer for whom or to whom and you will get the man. Now what is the man? The man is the indirect object. Something that receives the action indirectly. So the man will be in dative case. Basically, when we talk about dative, we talk about indirect object, something that receives the action indirectly. Or you try to answer the question for whom or to whom, you will get the dative case. Now, obviously, we will see some German examples, not in English. But before that, we need to discuss the definite article table, indefinite article table, and negative article table. In all the cases, nominative, accusative, and dative. Sind Sie bereit? Are you ready? Los geht's. Okay, so now let's see how do we say the depending on the case. In nominative, we say der. Neutral, das. Feminine, die. Plural, die. This we already know. And in accusative case, which gender changes? Masculine gender changes. So der will be changed to den. Rest all will be same. Das, die, die. Now in dative case, der and das, they both change to dem. Many students pronounce this incorrectly. They say dem. This is not dem, this is dame. Dame. Now feminine D changes to der and D plural changes to den plus N. I'll tell you the significance of this extra N a little later once we'll do some examples. For now, D changes to den plus N. Do not say den. This is not den, this is den. Let's discuss the indefinite article table. So nominative masculine, ein. Neutral, ein. Feminine, eine. And plural, nichts, nothing, because we cannot say apples, mangoes, laptops, etc. Now in accusative case, masculine gender changes Der to den, ein will be changed to einen. Rest all will be same. Ein, eine, nichts. Now in dative case, we saw that der and das they change to dem. So our ein will be changed to einem. D changes to der, so our eine will be changed to eine. And in case of plural, again, nichts, nothing, but yes, we will also have that extra n. Now one last table and then we will discuss the examples. Okay, so nominative masculine, it's called kein. Neutral, kein. Feminine or feminine, keine. Plural, we cannot say apples, but we can say no apples, right? So we will write here keine. In accusative case, der changes to den, ein to einen, kein will be changed to keinen. Rest all of them will be same. Kein, keiner, keiner. In dative case, der and das, they both change to dem. Ein changes to einem. Kein will be changed to keinem. Keinem, keinem. D changes to der, eine to einer, and keiner will be changed to keiner. And our plural, D changes to den plus n, so keiner will be changed to keinen plus n. Now let's take a look at some examples to understand dative. So for that we will use that same example, I give the man a book. We'll do word to word translation, literal translation. I is called ich, to give is called geben. I'll conjugate it according to ich gebe. The man, you can check the dictionary, it is called der Mann. And a book is called ein Buch. Buch. Okay, now we'll take a look at all the cases. Geben is being conjugated according to ich. So ich is in nominative case. This is the subject of the sentence. This is the subject of the sentence. Now what you're giving a book, right? So that is the object, that will be a direct object. So this will be direct object, which comes in accusative case. And in accusative case, only masculine gender change, but the article of Buch is das Buch. So it is neutral, so ein remains ein. So this part is sorted. There's no grammatical error. But if we take a look at this example, you've written it in nominative case. Is it fine to have two nominatives? No. Nein. Das geht nicht. That's not possible. And since this is the indirect object, which is in dative case. How will we know this is indirect object? You try to answer for whom or to whom. To whom is the book given? To the man, right? That means it is in dative case. So what we'll do is we'll change der to dem. Ich gebe dem Mann ein Buch. If you have understood this, try translating this. He gives the son a pen. We'll discuss the translation in 5 seconds. Okay, so I'll just cut this from here so as to avoid mess, and let's translate it on this page. He gives the son a pen. For now, I'll do the literal translation. Now geben is irregular verb. E changes to I. So it will be gibt. The son, you can check the dictionary, it is called der Sohn. And a pen is ein Kuli. Now article of Kuli is der, masculine. Article of Sohn, it is der, right, masculine. Okay, now we'll check for grammatical errors. So geben is being conjugated according to er. Er is the subject. Subject is in nominative case. What is being given? What is the direct object? This is the direct object. And direct object has to come in accusative case. Now in accusative case, der changes to den. I cannot say ein because ein changes to einen in accusative case. So I'll erase this and write here einen. Now try answering the question for whom or to whom, and that answer has to come in dative case. That means der Sohn is our indirect object. Indirect object will come in dative case. How does der change in dative? It changes to dem. So I'll erase this and write dem. Gibt dem Sohn einen Kuli is the correct answer. One last question for you. You have to translate this. I buy my mother a dress. Now, if you have followed my series, my A1 series, you'll be able to write the correct translation for this. Let's discuss the answers in 5 seconds. I know that wasn't that easy, so I'll cut this and paste it over here. Now we'll discuss the translation. I'll do word by word translation, literal translation. I is called ich. To buy, kaufen, which I'll conjugate according to ich. Okay. Now what is my mother? Mother is Mutter. So this is feminine. Now for my, we got 2 words. We have mein for masculine and neutral, and meine for feminine and plural. If you do not know this, you can check my video on possessive Pronomen im Nominativ und Accusativ. So that means we will go with meine for now. Ich kaufe meine Mutter. A dress is called ein Kleid. What is the article of Kleid? It is das. We have done word to word translation. Let's check for grammatical errors. Kaufen is being conjugated according to ich. Is the subject. Subject is in nominative case. Again, what is being bought here? A dress. That means this is the direct object, and direct object will take accusative case. Now in accusative case, das remains das, ein remains ein. There's no error. Es gibt keinen Fehler. But if we talk about this part, which I've written in nominative case, technically it should be in dative. Why dative? Try to answer for whom or to whom. Now for whom is a dress being bought for mother, right? So that will come in dative case. In dative case, I know my D changes to der. Einer changes to einer. Keiner changes to keiner. How does meine change in dative case? Yes, meine will be changed to meine. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll write extra R at the end. If you have understood this example, trust me, you have already understood possessive nouns in dative case, which we do at A2 level. So in dative case, how will you form possessive noun table? All you have to do is just replace the first word. Instead of kein, keinen, keinem, you can take maybe sein, seinen, seinem, and so on. Just replace the first letter and you're done making the table for the possessive noun in dative case. Now in all of the examples which we have just discussed now, we have talked about verbs taking two objects. It simply means you use the verbs and you can allocate two objects. So geben or kaufen or verkaufen, which means to sell, or schenken, which means to gift. These are the verbs wherein you can allocate two objects. One of the objects will be accusative and the another one will be indirect object, dative object. This is not enough to understand dative. We also have some verbs in German language which strictly take dative case and there's no logic behind it. You simply have to learn all those verbs which are limited and give dative case in the object. So now we will concentrate on this part and you'll see what I am talking right now. Okay, so let's translate this sentence. I will be ich. Now the verb here is helfen, which I'll conjugate according to ich. Ich helfe, and I'll write the mother as it is. Literal translation, it is called die Mutter. Now the verb helfen is something peculiar. What is the peculiar thing about it? It is strictly dative verb. That means after that you have to give dative case. There's no logic behind it. That means I will cut this die Mutter, and how does die change in dative case? It changes to der. And this will be the correct answer. Ich helfe der Mutter. So helfen is the verb which is strictly dative. When you use it, you have to give dative case. Let's take a look at more examples. So translation will be sie antwortet. Now I'll write the children in nominative case, like literal translation. You can check the dictionary. It is called die Kinder. Antworten, which means to answer, is strictly dative verb. That means you cannot say die Kinder. You have to change this die in dative case. Now this is plural, right? The children is plural. Now how does plural die change? It changes to den. But if you see the table now, you will also see that extra n. Now where will this extra n go? That will be attached to the noun. Now it becomes Kindern. Sie antwortet den Kindern. Now I'll give you two strictly dative verbs and you have to translate the sentences. We'll discuss the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, two strictly dative verbs we have danken and gratulieren. He thanks my daughters. Er dankt. I'll write my daughters as it is. Literal translation will be meine Töchter. Now, since danken is a dative verb, in dative case, what happens with plural? Plural D changes to den plus n. What happens with keine? It changes to keinen plus n. Now, what will happen with meine? It will be meinen, and then that extra n will be attached here. And this will be the answer. Er dankt meinen Töchtern. Now, second, they congratulate the husband. Sie gratulieren. The husband is called der Mann. Now, how does der change in dative case? It changes to dem. I'll write dem here. Sie gratulieren dem Mann. Okay. Now what I'll do is, in the description box, I'll attach a PDF or maybe the link to that PDF wherein you can see the list of all those strictly dative verbs. You do not have to learn them in one go. You can learn them depending on your level, like A1, A2, P1, P2, C1 or C2. Okay, so we discussed about verbs taking two objects. We discussed about strictly dative verbs. Now third point is, we also have some strictly dative prepositions. When you use them, you have to give dative case. Again, there's no logic. I'll create a separate video on this topic, but for now, let's discuss only two prepositions which take strictly dative case. So we'll take two prepositions. We'll take mit, which you might have seen very frequently. So we give dative case after it. Second preposition which we'll discuss will be zu. Again, dative preposition. If we talk about their English meaning, mit is with and zu means to. Example. Wir fahren mit Luke blank Fahrrad zu Luke Schule. Blank Schule. Now pause this video and think what will come in the blank. I have given you the original article. Fahrrad is das Fahrrad. Schule is die Schule. Remember, mit and zu are dative prepositions. So das change to what in dative case? Dem. And die changes to der. So it will be, wir fahren mit dem Fahrrad zu der Schule. We travel with the bicycle to the school. One last question for you. We'll discuss the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, so mit and zu are dative preposition. Die changes to what in dative? Der. And das changes to what in dative? Dem. Answer will be, er fährt mit der Bahn zu dem Büro. He travels with the train to the office. There are other prepositions too, but we can talk about them in some other episode. Okay, so we discussed 3 things just to understand dative. We talked about verbs taking 2 objects. We talked about strictly dative verbs. And we talked about strictly dative prepositions. So here, if we talk about second and third point, there's no logic behind it. You simply have to learn by heart. Now it's time for a little challenge. What I want from you is to revise everything we have covered so far. Strictly dative verbs or verbs taking two objects or strictly dative prepositions, and you have to translate these sentences. Übersetzen means to translate. So pause the video, write down your translation, and I'll show my answers in 5 seconds. So first up we have you help my brother. It will be du. Helfen is irregular verb. E changes to I. Du hilfst. If you have written sie helfen, completely fine. Now helfen is strictly dative verb. So my brother, literal translation will be mein Bruder. But we know der changes to dem in dative. So mine will be changed to meinem in dative case. Du hilfst or sie helfen meinem Bruder. Second, she gives the teacher a pen. This is the case of verbs taking two objects. Okay, so I'll just underline that this will be the direct object which will take accusative case. This will be my dative or indirect object. You can answer to whom or for whom. So the answer will be sie gibt. We have the teacher which will come in dative case. So der Lehrer will be changed to dem Lehrer. A pen is called ein Kuli, but in accusative case, ein will be changed. It will become einen Kuli. Next, we travel with the bus to the university. Now this is the case of strictly dative prepositions. We'll say, we travel, wir fahren. With is called mit, which is strictly dative preposition. The bus is der Bus. So we'll say mit dem Bus. To is called zu, which is again dative preposition. So die Universität will be changed to der Universität. Next, he thanks the sister. This is the case of strictly dative verb. Dankt the sister. The sister, literal translation, die Schwester. Die changes to der in dative case. It will be der Schwester. Now last one, they speak with the colleagues. They speak will be sie sprechen. With the colleagues, I'll do the literal translation. With is called mit. You can check the dictionary. Colleagues are called die Kollegen. Or you can also see Kolleginnen. Male colleagues or female colleagues. We have different words. Now, we know this is the case of strictly dative preposition. So after mit, we have to give dative case. So in dative, I'll cut this D and I'll change it to den. Sie sprechen mit den. Now you tell me, D changes to den plus N in dative case. Is there any need of attaching extra N at the end and make it double N? No, right? There's no need for it. Hence, we will not attach that extra N. So you need to make sure if we are already having N at the end, there's no point of adding N at the end. So you need to make sure in dative plural that you will only attach N if necessary. If a noun is already having N at the end, there's no point. Also, you need to check if the pronunciation is not troublesome. For example, if I talk about cars, which is called die Autos. Now, if I want to say with the cars, it will be mit D will be changed to den. And shall we attach extra N? No. The pronunciation will be troublesome in that case. You simply say mitten Autos. So attach N if necessary, and there's no problem with the pronunciation. Okay, here I think I made conjugation mistake. It will be fahren. Okay, this is alles für heute. That's it for today. Now you know how to use dative case in German language. If you still got questions, you can let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if this video helped you. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.
Like and subscribe.